of development with Amartya Sen, only with ET Now.
If enterprise is the hardware, governance is the software. Democracy is not a license for everyone. Democracy is a question of wellness and fairness equally. The reality and the financial reality diverge so much. I think in this world currently a lot of bubbles are being blown up again all over because the money supply is still pretty good in the world.
Vallabh Bhansali defines the market mechanism only on ET Now.
This is the Times Television Network, and you're watching ET Now.
Hi there, thanks very much for tuning in. This is Buy Now Sell Now Weekend. I'm Avan Dabas. Remember, this is the show for all the regular traders and investors that gives you a heads up by giving you expert fundamental and technical advice on the weekend. Hi, Megha.
Hi, Avan. Well, a very warm welcome to all our viewers. Like Avan mentioned, it's a show where you can get a heads up on what to do in the week ahead with trading experts. So, for today, we've got a jam-packed half an hour. In fact, we'll be taking up your stock-specific queries on Reliance Communications, HDIL, as well as banking major Axis Bank.
Not just that, we also have our portfolio advisor segment, so we will be discussing Mr. Suresh Mehta's portfolio on the show today.
And on the show today, we've got Prakash Devan, who's the head of Institutional Clients Group at Asset Mehta Investments, and Dr. C.K. Narayan as well, who's joining in. He's the MD of Growth Avenues Asset Advisor, who joins in for a check on the technicals on the market.
Let's kickstart the show with our very first query for the day. This one comes in from Hassan Ali in Kolkata. Now, he's a retail investor. He's also a regular participant on the show Buy Now Sell Now. Let's listen into his query on Reliance Communications.
I have purchased 500 shares of Arcom at the rate of 63. Now, the profit of Bharti Airtel, which is the leading company in this field, is double of Arcom, while the market cap of Bharti Airtel is 5 times that of Arcom. So I have bottom fished into Arcom. For about 2 to 3 years, I want to keep this holding.
Okay, so clearly Hassan Ali is a long-term investor in a Reliance Communications. Currently, he's making marginal bit of money on his investment. But Prakash, I'd come to you first on his query because it is a fundamental query, and we've got so much action going on in Reliance Communications. We've got the management trying its best to pare down that 30,000 crore rupees of debt. We've got, of course, that approval as well coming in for its Singapore subsidiary.
No, that's true. I think from a fundamental perspective, it does offer the makings of a very strong value bet. The market cap to sales ratio also, if you look at it, it's got enough headroom to grow from here on. But Reliance Com has had its share of issues, particularly in terms of growth in market share at the right realization, at the right ARPU tariff. If you look at the kind of debt that they had incurred, because they went on a very aggressive expansion, particularly in their telecom tower side of the business, that's something that they are actually saddled with. But now, if they were to get some sort of a semblance of liquidation there at a decent rate, it not only helps the balance sheet, it throws up cash to expand into newer technology areas which they are, actually they're kept in abeyance. So given the kind of tailwinds that other players are facing, whether it's Bharti or Idea or Tata, Reliance Com actually has a chance to start catching up with these other players in terms of market share and actually reduce its debt burden. As you rightly said, we need the flag telecom venture getting hived off, or whether it's the telecom tower business itself. So I think with a 3-year horizon, Hassan Ali would probably be, definitely stand to gain because he's bought it at a very reasonable level of 63, and the stock would actually be a multi-bagger for him in the next 3 years.
A multi-bagger, and you can stand to hold on to that counter for the next 3 years, Hassan. But CK, I wanted to come into you because on the technical charts, it has been a bit of an underperformance below its 50 and 200 daily moving average. In light of this, what would be your advice?
If you're looking at moving average in any ADAG pack stocks, they will be below all moving averages. So that is certainly not one way to look at it.
But I think the key point here, which I think was also stressed by Mr. Diwan, that the purchase price in the stock has been very favorable. He's bought it now almost near the low. So I think that is what is the real key here, which is what will enable him to hold on to this stock and probably weather those short-term reactions which will inevitably occur during its path upward. I think the stock at the moment, it is reasonably well placed, and the news flow is also a little bit favorable, and which could, I think, enable it to go towards somewhere around 85 to 90 level, which is the first stage where he should do some bit of reassessment, and then based upon the situation in the market, he can at that point of time decide whether he wants to take some profit there or not. That's on the positive side. On the negative side, I think we all have to provide for changes in the marketplace. So I think a stop loss at about 53 level would be something prudent for him. I do believe that this stock has in it the potential, and given the favorable rate of purchase, I think the queries could probably hold on till about 100, 120, which would be a nice sort of double bagger from where he has bought it. But then the stop loss at 53 is what I would also additionally caution him to have.
Okay, so Hassan Ali, stay invested in your investment in Reliance Communication, but he also has another query, this time on an HDIL, so let's listen in.
HDIL I have purchased at 65 rupees per share, about 3,000 shares, and I intend holding these shares for about 2 to 3 years, and I expect a price target of 200 to 250 rupees per share.
Okay, that's his view coming in on HDIL. Prakash, I'm going to come to you first. Most of the analysts are pretty positive on this counter. They expect the new launches and easing debt concerns to be a big boost for the company. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think after a long time, the company's finally been able to manage taking some debt off its books, which was actually the big drag. If you look at some of the new launches, they've been priced very favorably. Earlier, they had some almost close to distressed sale kind of launches, which really didn't add to the bottom line. But this time around, they've been much more conservatively priced from a company standpoint. But, my only concern is if the Queries is expecting a profit target of about 200, 250, that could slightly be stretched, because once the counter gets into a little bit of a momentum, it does tend to, it's a high beta stock, mind you, and it does tend to kind of swing either ways. So, for a stock like this, there's always, a little bit of difficulty in terms of scaling newer levels, because there's always some selling that comes through. But yes, fundamentally, I think they're doing the right thing. The TDR sales have fetched decent returns. And once the activity in the construction space picks up, particularly in the Bombay market, which this company is centered around, they'll do extremely well. This is strong management, knows this business very well. It's just unfortunate timing in terms of expansion that has hit them hard on the debt side. But they'll definitely come through with it in the right colors. But mind you need to continuously watch this stock, book profits at certain intervals, don't go overboard, and make sure that you don't kind of just wait for it as a value buy and sit on it for 3 long years without any action.
Okay, so you can clearly remain invested in an HDIL, but Prakash recommends that you would do repeatedly at regular intervals revisit your investment. On to the third query for the day then. This one comes in from KV Prasanna in Bangalore. Now, he owns a lot of banking stocks, and for today he's got a query on Axis Bank. Let's listen in.
I've been holding Axis Bank since at the rate of 1030, around 250 stocks. I want to understand what would be the highest it may reach within the 30th of this month.
Okay, that's a query on Axis Bank, where he's got a 2-week time horizon. So Dr. Narayan, on the chart, this one's trading below all those key moving averages, and of course he's got the policy meet as well coming up on Monday. So what would you advise him to do?
Clearly, this view is very shorter term oriented, maybe a week or two. So we'll have to necessarily look at the much shorter term trends in this particular stock. From that perspective, if I were to look at the charts, I find that at about 1060, Axis Bank actually had run into some kind of measured move resistance. So that is the first hurdle that it will have to overcome if it has to make some further progress. Now, if it does make that kind of progress, let's say tomorrow or Monday is like a kind of a big day for banks, and let's assume that everything is positive, in which case it would show you this upside breakout. then you're probably looking at a target of about, I think, 1110 to 1120. I think that is the best that you could probably get, because at that level, Axis Bank actually runs into a kind of series of resistances which might make its further progress a little bit difficult. So I think that is what you should expect with a two-week horizon. If it were to go past that, then that would really require an event to certify that it would do so. So that is a call we can take later. But at the moment, I would also caution that on the downside, in case Monday's things were to blow up in our faces, then the nearest stop loss that he should maintain is about 1,005 to 1,010, because anything below that should send the stock reeling towards this next lower swing low at about 940.45, which would be very damaging. So 1,510 is a stop loss, and 1110 to 1115 is a possible target in the event of 1,060 being exceeded fairly decisively.
1,110 is the target with a stop loss at 1,005. Hope we got your query answered. Let's take a quick break right here on the show, but when we come back, we've got Mr. Suresh Mehta's portfolio, which will be up for discussion. And here's the chance for you to get your queries answered. 3 ways that you can do that. You can write into us at bnsn@etnow.tv. You could message us your query at 58888, or you could call us and join in live on the show on 022-2437-111.
CRR relief need not all go into NDTL, it can go for lending. So if there is more money available, there is no way banks can keep it in their vaults. They would be required to go out in the market and lend, and once they lend, the overall interest rate environment should come down.
Catch Pradeep Chowdhury in an exclusive conversation on ET Interview, only on ET Now. With markets on the downside, what strategies are Asia's best money managers adopting? Catch Asia's biggest market voices on Market Makers View from Singapore, only on ET Now.
Great to have you back. So tune in to Buy Now, Sell Now Weekend. Well, as promised, we've got Suresh Mehta's portfolio on hand with us. Let's take a look. 75-year-old Suresh Mehta is not your average equity investor. This part-time real estate consultant manages the portfolios of his 2 sons and daughter along with his own investments. He's been dabbling in stocks for over 15 years and considers himself lucky even in these turbulent times. So what is the secret behind Mr. Mehta's stock-picking strategy?
I go on reputation and name and of course performance, but not exact figures.
That approach has helped Mr. Mehta ensure his portfolio delivers desired results. Apart from only investing in reputed stocks, Mr. Mehta strictly follows the path of capital preservation, and that is his winning edge. Mr. Mehta owns blue-chip stocks from across all sectors, bought at throwaway prices. His top picks include the likes of Reliance Industries, Tata Motors, and Coal India. It's a portfolio that many would envy. But sometimes even the best investors need a helping hand.
I like ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, and NHPC, Reliance Industries. I am so fond of the script, and I have bought at a high price, different values. Last is Britannia, because it's a very good script.
So what should Mr. Mehta do? Should he tweak his portfolio at all? Should he add new stocks to his portfolio at current levels, and perhaps buy some more of the stocks he already owns? Okay, so you heard Mr. Suresh Mehta's mantra to success, and he has been dabbling in the stock market for 15 long years. Blue chip stocks is what he owns. He's got a great profile and a great portfolio at that. Let's get to the individual recommendations he's got for you. So the first week's counters we've discussed, an Axis Bank that you picked up at 300, a Britannia